My daughter hugged me before loading the last box into her car, then looked straight at me. "Promise me one thing," she said. "Never open my closet." It sounded ridiculous. She was 26, moving across the country for work, and leaving her childhood bedroom behind. I laughed and promised anyway. For 6 months, I kept that promise. Then a pipe burst upstairs. The repairman said moisture had reached the bedroom wall. Everything inside the closet had to come out before mold spread. I stood outside the white door with the spare key shaking in my hand. The closet wasn't packed with clothes. Instead, shelves covered every wall. Each shelf held neatly labeled boxes. Every label carried a year. The oldest box had my name. I assumed she had hidden journals about how badly I'd failed her after the divorce. My stomach tightened. Still, I opened the first box. Inside were grocery receipts, folded calendars, photographs of empty dinner tables, and sticky notes covered with tiny handwriting. Nothing made sense, until I noticed one sentence repeated on nearly every page. Dad smiled today. Why would anyone document something so ordinary? Then I found another box marked, "Do not read until you find the blue binder." I searched every shelf. There was no blue binder anywhere. I convinced myself the answer was obvious. She must have been collecting evidence for therapy. Maybe she had spent years measuring every disappointment I caused. The divorce had been ugly. Her mother and I had buried each other under blame, believing children only heard the loud arguments. Maybe she'd heard everything. I kept opening boxes. The photographs grew stranger. A repaired bicycle, my old coffee mug, a grocery list with strawberries circled twice, hospital parking tickets. Beside every object was another handwritten note. He remembered. He came anyway. He tried. None of it sounded like resentment. It sounded like gratitude. That made even less sense. Then my sister Karen stopped by with dinner. She froze when she saw the boxes spread across the floor. "You weren't supposed to find those yet," she whispered. "So you knew?" Karen nodded. "I helped her organize them after your surgery." I stared at her. "What surgery?" Karen's face lost all color. You really don't remember?" Before I could answer, she reached into the closet and pulled loose a hidden panel. Behind it rested a single blue binder. My hands trembled as I opened the binder. The first page was not written by my daughter. It came from my neurologist. Several years earlier, I had suffered a brain hemorrhage after collapsing at work. The surgery saved my life. It also erased nearly 8 months of memories. The doctors warned that forcing those memories back could do more harm than good. I remembered waking in the hospital. I remembered recovery. I never realized there had been a missing chapter. The binder filled that silence. During those months, my daughter had quietly become my caregiver. She drove me to appointments before college classes. She labeled cabinets because I forgot where dishes belonged. She celebrated tiny victories most people would never notice. Every receipt, every photograph, every note inside those boxes captured proof that healing was possible. Not for her. For me. The final pages explained the closet. She feared I would mistake those forgotten months for a burden. She wanted me to rediscover them only if I was emotionally ready. Then I found one last photograph. It showed us planting a maple sapling together. I couldn't remember taking it, but I remembered the tree standing outside. I called my daughter that evening. There was a long silence after I mentioned the closet. "I hoped you'd never need to open it," she finally said. "I didn't want your first memory of that year to be fear." She explained she had watched me rebuild myself piece by piece. If she told me everything outright, I'd spend years grieving what I'd forgotten. Instead, she wanted me to see what remained. Love. Patience. Ordinary moments that survived memory itself. The maple tree outside had become enormous. Every birthday, she mailed fertilizer without mentioning why. Every visit, she looked at that tree before coming inside. Now I understood. It wasn't planted to celebrate recovery. It was planted because neither of us knew how much would grow after something nearly died. The next spring, I flew to visit her. We planted another maple in her backyard. No speeches. No dramatic apologies. Just 2 shovels, tired hands, and fresh soil. Some memories never return. Others arrive differently. Sometimes they live inside receipts, photographs, worn coffee mugs, and quiet acts nobody applauds. I used to believe love was remembered through grand moments. Now I know it survives through the small ones we almost overlook. Every autumn, we send each other pictures of both trees. They never grow in exactly the same direction. They don't have to, neither did we.